Alrighty, sorry for the delay, folks. We finally have the audio all fixed, so thank you for bearing with us. And with that being said, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at SpeedGaming for the continuation of our Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Mentor Tournament. My name is Married, and I'm joined here by Rico today. How are you today, Rico?
I'm doing pretty fine.
You're pretty fine. All right, that's wonderful. Well, as stated, we did have a slight technical problem, so we did have a bit of a 15-minute delay, but that's okay. The problem has resolved itself. We are good to go. So, Rico, why don't you tell everyone what we got going on today?
Well, today we have another match in our Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Randomizer Mentor Tournament. So, two somewhat newer runners are joined in by a more experienced player for help with navigation and tricks. So they can get advice on routing and how to do something on the fly. Today we have Leaf and Sasquatch, and they are mentored by Naii and Cestrion, respectively.
Alrighty, and with that being said, as both runners start off, we are following the Echo's basic settings for this tournament, meaning we are starting in always at Great Temple with Violet Translator, letting us know if missile system is in Portal Access A, which could be main missiles itself, while we have Screw Attack immediately.
It's probably main missiles because that Screw Attack makes that accessible.
Absolutely, yeah. So with the current trick settings, there are some basic movement skills required, and it is entirely plausible for this game, if we don't find bombs or space jump early, that we could use a screw attack extended cancel to get a little bit of extra height and climb the left side of main plaza.
Or you could just use Screw Attack as a jump extender and climb the right side. Basically, Screw Attack lets you go either way.
Absolutely, yeah. There's multiple different options for Screw Attack. But before we can do anything with that, we have one important thing to take care of. We have to defeat Albert the Alpha Splinter.
And believe it or not, despite being shorter, the first part of this boss battle is actually harder, in my opinion.
Yeah, why do you say that?
Because the Alpha Splinter actually has really good AI in that he will track you and he will try to lead his jumps so that he will land where he thinks you're moving to. The Dark Alpha Splinter, on the other hand, doesn't do that, and as long as you stay moving, he will never be able to jump on top of you. I always kind of took this as intentional, and that it's the problem of the Ing, because they mention in some of the log scans that Ings use splinters to train in possession. So I always figured that the Ing that possesses him is just unexperienced and doesn't know how to pilot the splinter.
A very interesting theory. I like it. And you know what else I also like? Having missiles right here on Albert.
Oh yeah, that is not logical missiles, but neither runner cares, and that is Spider Ball.
Alrighty, well, we know we have to come back for Spider Ball. That's a very useful item.
Yeah, that will be made
for end boss.
Spider Ball will be made logical by either Space Jump Boots or Morph Ball Bombs.
Now, unfortunately, we do have to leave it behind. And before we continue, I do want to give a quick notice. So you see different colors here for the HUD system, with Sasquatch have a bright red, Leaf running a neon purple, and a silver suit on Leaf's side. With Randomizer, we do have some slight customization we can use if we like. So any color of the rainbow for our HUD system, and any of the 4 Echoes multiplayer suits we can use.
Now, Leaf choosing the correct colors here does not make me biased towards them.
Well,
at least not officially.
Officially, no. Unofficially, probably. Although I will say the cobalt blue is a better choice. Oh, but everyone's got their own favorite color. So with that Ing Hive and Temple Assembly site, We're going to keep on moving forward. We're not going to bother picking that up right now, as those keys can be skipped in like 4 different ways. With knowledge, a cursed lake has a HUD system.
That is really good knowledge. So we have a HUD system that is logically locked by Seeker missiles and Darkvisor.
And say hello to the first E of the run. And, Chica's required again. It's got a Sky Temple key. So to everyone who loves seeing Dark Torvus Temple and the Chica fight, congratulations. We have a required fight with an STK.
Is that enough of a consolation prize for there being no screw attack in Eri Krar?
Yeah, having fun with Eri. That's a terrible place. On the bright side, at least we have information for Chica early. That way we can sort of route Dark Torvus more efficiently. Hopefully.
Okay, it looks like both runners are electing to do the right side's jump extension. I personally think that this is the easier way up, but it is slower because you do have to go all the way around. Whereas if you can get the cancels right on the left side, or right, pretend I'm saying the right directions. If you can get the cancels right on the other side, it is faster.
Yeah, it is faster, but I would argue that if you're comfortable with and know the height cancel, then the left side might be a little bit faster.
And we have Leaf demonstrating that translator node actually can be stood on. So you could either scan it if you have Amber and then you can just jump onto it, or you can use jump extension with the screw attack to land on it if it's still open.
Neat little time save. Alright, as both runners enter Mining Station A, can we see what's hiding on top of the spider ball track today? Well, we can't, but I'm sure the runners absolutely can. And now it's time to see what this system is here on Portal Access A. Most likely going to be Launcher due to logic requirements at the time. And wouldn't you know it, there's Missile Launcher. Well, with missiles in hand, logically, this allows us access into Aegon Temple. We can get Bomb Guardian defeated. But due to the lack of actual bombs, we're going to have a fun time trying to get anywhere further. Well, it might be in these runners' best interest to just do Bomb Guardian and then head back for Temple Grounds to do some Hive Chamber work.
Well, yeah, with the settings that we currently have, and this being New Patcher, absolutely the right play is to go to Bomb Guardian. I believe that is the only thing that is technically in logic.
I would believe so. We don't have Space Jump to technically get up to the Central Mining and Aegon Labs section. We don't have Light Beam to go through Vent Area A. No Dark Beam for the Mineshaft play. And no bombs to actually get into Dark Aegon.
And we don't have any of the tools we would need to get through the GFMC loop in Temple Grounds.
No, so Bomb Guardian or Hive Chamber A will have to either have Space Jump or Power Bombs or regular bombs. And Delta's matching me word for word. We need one of these 3 items within the next 2 checks.
And it looks like both runners are setting up for a 2-cycle on Bomb Guardian. So you can actually bring him right to a damage threshold if you hit him with an uncharged power beam shot, a missile, and a charged shot. Where if you do it right, you should only have to deal 2 cycles. But it looks like neither of our runners actually gets it today.
I mean, Leaf was close, but just not enough damage on that second set. Oh, and just missed Just missed getting the final kill shot. There we go. Bomb Guardian is defeated. What do we have here today? A sonic boom. Okay.
That? Okay.
Well, sonic boom is never... well, I mean, it does have its uses, but logically speaking, we don't have a purpose for it. And then we have no Annihilator Beam to actually utilize that sonic boom. Okay.
Okay, so with the screw attack, that makes leaving Bomb Guardian logical, so that pushes our progression to DMT.
Everybody loves a good Dark Missile Trooper.
I actually did not realize that you could use screw attack to break those grates without space jump.
Yeah, there's a handful of different ways to break those. Yeah, it's screw attack, bombs, boost ball. Or if you have space jump, just quite literally jump over the gate. Which, I mean, it's a nice little quirk, just leaving the doors up, not destroying Aegon property. Oh, but Leaf's trying to get a peek here for Mining Plaza. Oh, I want to say that's a missile expansion. What do you think, Rico?
I think it looks a little bit like light beam ammo, but I did not get a good look.
Well, it's interesting to say the least. Hopefully we don't need it. And we do have a question posed. The screw attack on Z-axis for Aegon Temple.
I could believe that being the reason. I'm not great with the Z-axis, though.
I know there are certain objects that don't require space jump for that screw attack. It just wants to know if screw attack is in your possession and is utilized for the moment of item touching. I think the biggest example would be for Storage D. You don't need space jump for that crystal to be activated. But let's take a quick detour and see what Dark Missile Trooper has. Although granted, we have absolutely no way to quick kill it, so we actually get to see more of this fight than ever before.
The fight the way it was intended.
Okay, now be honest, did you fight Dark Missile Trooper your first handful of times?
Actually, yes I did.
You did? Yeah, I never knew this boss was here when I was first starting out.
I stumbled onto it on accident, but that was mostly because I got lost and ended up back down here. And there are bombs on DMT.
Oh, well, look at that.
So is that French vanilla bombs?
I mean, technically, since you do need Bomb Guardian to spawn DMT in, I would say so, yeah.
So one of the interesting quirks about DMT in the vanilla game is that DMT doesn't drop a missile expansion. DMT drops a second missile launcher. Which has led to speculation that DMT was originally how you were intended to get your missile launcher back. That this would be the ing that stole your original one. And we have space jump in the other hive chamber.
You know, honestly, I think that would have been a nice bit of lore, especially with how your items were lost in the first place. With the ink stealing them with your first transition into Dark Aether itself, compared to just stumbling across them in a crate dropped by the Galactic Federation. But I mean, it makes sense as well, you having some sort of missiles and high explosives on a Federation ship, so I mean, lore-wise, it could go either way.
So with the space jump, that actually puts GFMC Crate into logic.
Oh, that's fair, yeah, because we have space jump to actually utilize the full potential of screw attack now. But that begs the question, though. Do you go back to Aegon and do a little bit more cleanup? Or do you take the risk and go for GFMC?
Well, since they got bombs there too, I would expect that they would go back to Aegon and get Jump Guardian out of the way, so then you don't have to make 2 trips through GFMC.
That's a very smart reason.
As the item on top of the ship only spawns after Jump Guardian has been killed.
It makes sense. You don't want to do more backtracking than absolutely necessary. Although you are putting a little bit of a risk, because if, as Cadmir is pointing out in chat, if communications area or GFMC crate item itself has an extensive major, let's say, you could say Dark Beam, for example, I mean, you really could be setting yourself up there. Never mind, Dark Beam's right here. That was a bad item to use as an example.
You know, they didn't go back for that spider.
Well, that's fair, but granted,
that means they're going to have to leave Junction Site behind.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. And if Junction Site has anything useful, congratulations, you've got a little bit of backtracking to do now. Although you could take a save warp off of Judgment Pit. But first things first, you're that Dark Beam. We have immediate access here to Mineshaft.
Oh, that is main PBs.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by that big yellow-orange glow, that's our main power bombs. Well, smart play by both runners going for Mineshaft here and taking out a little bit more of Aegon. This will set up late game with those power bombs to A, get Spider's treasure easier, and B, set up Dynamo Chamber without having to backtrack it. Oh, and this also opens up Grand Wind Chamber for Wind Chamber Skip and Wind Chamber Gateway, so we get a few extra items on our first pass.
Yeah, with that screw attack, Gateway is fully logical.
Yeah, but Grand Wind Chamber, though, technically we still can't get. We don't have any Light World access or Seekers or Boost Ball. But there is a slope jump into a screw attack we can use for some standable collision. Although if runners do that, it is a risk due to a potential soft lock.
Yeah, that's one I learned the hard way.
Yeah, you and I both, my friend. Okay, so now that bombs and power bombs are in hand, I'd say the best option is to go into Dark Aegon. Take care of your Jump Guardian loop, get in Cache 4 out of the way with your Dark Beam, and then, depending on what you find, maybe take a dip into Labs.
Yeah. It's gonna suck if Junction Site has something, though, but hey, at least you know where your spider is and you could go get it immediately.
That's absolutely fair, yeah. And it's not a terrible backtrack. I mean, granted, we could take a save warp off of the Judgment Pit save station, use that to get Spider Ball immediately, and then come back here to Dark Aegon, then go right for Labs. Time consuming, yes, but it's only, what, maybe 3 minutes out of your way? Oh, and you know the sad part about this? We don't have Amber Translator to get the Aegon energy hint.
Nope. And so the fun thing about this portal room is that the game actually only checks to see if that third block has been broken if it's looking to solve the puzzle. Because it assumes that you have to break the other two to even get to this third one. So you can either slope jump your way up on top here, as Sasquatch is doing, or you can screw attack into that block and break it and just skip doing the entire puzzle.
Yep, and with that puzzle skipped, it's now time to make our way into Dark Aegon. We've got Jump Guardian to take care of, a broom closet to go make sure it's locked and secured, and then in Cache 4 just to get out of the way.
And with that extra E-Tank, movement in Dark Aegon is a lot more comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with how fast we lose health around here. But what's hiding on Crossroad today? Oh, hello, E-Tank. How are you? Love a good E-Tank. Although we can't get that, we don't have Boost Ball. Alright, well, while we make our way to Jump Guardian and Broom Closet, what would be a good item to place here for Sasquatch?
You want that light beam.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, by the way, speaking of light beam...
Maybe we should just stop mentioning items. We seem to be summoning them.
Yeah, that'd be a smart thing to do. Okay, be honest. You see the Lightbringer here on the bridge. What do you do to it?
Depends on what mood I am. That Lightbringer got me killed a couple weeks ago, so...
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it appears that Leaf is taking the shorter route to Judgment Pit, which means they will be picking up their light beam after Jump Guardian. And for those of you wondering why Sasquatch is just firing towards the statue...
It's because we hate the statue for a reason.
It turns out that Jump Guardian's hurt box is actually already loaded into this room. They did a similar thing to what they did in Prime 1 with Omega Pirate, where even though you can't see him, he's still there. So you can just unload into that seemingly empty space and do damage to Jump Guardian before the fight even starts, which is both safer and faster than doing the fight normally. Now, for one reason or another, you can't actually kill Jump Guardian before the fight starts, and we have a Torvis key on Jump Guardian. So, well, even if you do enough damage to take out all of its health, you still have to hit Jump Guardian twice after the fight starts.
Well, I think that's a really good safety feature that the developers put in. You know, let's say, for example, you did manage to destroy Jump Guardian in that little hitbox. Because Jump Guardian can't really spawn in with the cutscene now, because you already killed the boss, if that cutscene doesn't force spawn Jump Guardian back, you've just deleted this entire item, and you've hardlocked yourself out of Compound's ship item. Alright, so there's nothing on the broom closet today, just some dark ammo. Although, it's nice since we could use more ammunition, but Whoever left their dark ammo in the broom closet, I'm sorry, but it's being seized. But before we can do anything else, Leaf now destroys the Jump Guardian. Hitbox has been destroyed. You see there's no health on it. We fire a few lemons. Congratulations, you've just served an ice cold glass of lemonade to Jump Guardian. Alright, so Jump Guardian's defeated. We have everything we need to make a full pass on GFMC's compound loop. And we're going to go ahead and take care of that now with Sasquatch before diving into Aegon Labs. As once we dive into Aegon Labs, with Light Beam, we're in a prime position to knock out Spider's treasure and get a little bit of early information on Sanctuary Fortress.
Oh yeah, especially if you grab that spider, you can just route Labs right into Spider side.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Probably take that save warp a Sasquatch is doing. Get your Spider Ball first, then route in your entire GFMC loop, and then come back to Aegon entrance to dive into Labs. And it looks like Leaf is doing the exact same play here. Both runners neck and neck with each other.
Now, normally you would be required to do a morph ball puzzle to get that item, but we can take advantage of something called a slope jump to just skip the puzzle and just jump into that spider ball. So as you are holding down the L button, which has some rather unusual effects on your speed and momentum, you can basically abuse that to gain a significant amount of height off of a jump, well beyond what the developers intended you to be able to do.
Oh, and sadly Sasquatch tried to go for Temple Assembly Site and rolled right off the edge. Gotta love those little echoes physics for you. Although sadly it reminds me of my bowling score, how I've never broken 100. Just keeps missing it for a gutter ball.
You see, the trick with bowling is to not do that.
Yeah, I figured that, but I'm not that good. I mean, the gutter just looks so promising half the time, you know? Alright, so nothing on Dynamo Chamber today. But hey, that's okay. We've got a missile expansion. We'll always take more missiles. You never know when you can use them. And now it's time to enter communications area. What's hiding behind the glass? Well, we got a red shine. Is that a red key today? No, that's a dark ammo expansion. That was a purple shine. Well, I guess with this HUD, everything looks a little red. Oh, Ingrella Quarry's got a morph ball related upgrade today.
Now, I mean, that could be boost.
Yeah, but it could also be cannon.
It's most likely just a power bomb expansion.
No. See, let's put Cannonball on Ingrella Quarry. That way they can't have it for doing check a fight.
And what Sasquatch is doing here is actually duping this item in the GFMC crate. So when the layer changes after that cutscene, the game just places that crate there, even if it's already been destroyed, just as a safety precaution. So you can collect it before triggering the cutscene, trigger the cutscene, and then grab the item again. Oh, that is Emerald Translator on top of the ship, which puts the save station in logic.
That is one of the best locations Emerald could be. Outside of being in Torvus itself, well, at least Upper Torvus. As this gets Sasquatch immediate access into FTA, get an extra hint. And when it comes to echoes, information is key. Doomed Entry has a missile system.
So that is our Seeker missile. So there's only 2 missile systems that are counted as majors, the launcher and the Seeker launcher, and we already have our normal launcher. Now that being a violet hint suggests that that is a major and not an expansion, because the game only starts hinting expansions if it's run out of majors to hint at.
And on the bright side, Grand Wind Chamber is just an ammo expansion, so we will not be doing any sort of trick or skip to get it. Oh, and we've got yet another E-Tank here on Wind Chamber Gateway.
God, where was all this E during my race yesterday?
Well, at least you didn't get cursed on the race.
I had a read seat. I started cursed.
Oh, well, in that case. You know, all this energy could be some pretty heavy bait. Could say one of our suits are going to be extremely late. We could be doing some tricky bosses.
So what Leaf is attempting here is to actually peek the item in Fortress Transport Access. So as you jump into that ceiling in the right spot, you'll see there's a brief second where it clips through, and you can get a quick glance at what the item is.
Yeah, speaking of which, I could be entirely wrong, but I saw a green hue. Something's telling me that's an STK.
Sasquatch electing to check phase on grounds here, which I say is a good play because this is in logic with Screw Attack and all that E.
Okay, well, we do have confirmation there's a key in FTA.
And there is a STK in phase on grounds.
Well, at least we know where it is. It's a good check by Sasquatch doing this now while they have the ability. This saves some later backtracking. Although we might have to come back here anyway if Boost Ball is required, henceforth being on Reliquary. Oh, sorry, had a bit of an audio hiccup, but we got it fixed once again. All right, let's go ahead and take a step back here while we have a moment. So we're only just over 30 minutes into this. We have Dark and Light Beam, Screw Attack, Space Jump, Bomb, Spider Ball, Violet, and Emerald.
Is that grapple or grav?
Please tell me that's gravity.
That is grapple beam.
Oh, dang nabbit.
So with Screw Attack, grapple is skippable in basically every circumstance, but it's still nice to have, because any room where you have a choice of Screw Attacking or using grapple beam, with one exception, it is faster to use the grapple beam. The exception being the room they've just passed through in Dark Aether, with on the way to phase on ground. That grapple point is bait. If you try to grapple there, that dark Metroid will shoot up out of the Phazon and immediately knock you into it.
I'm gonna be honest, I use that grapple point all the time. I just like taunting that little Metroid. And looks like Leaf is now also entering Phazon grounds to get that STK. Whatever's happening here is amazing synergy between all four of these members. Both the runners and both the mentors seem to just be catty-cornering each other. So whatever Sasquatch does, Leaf and Naii are pretty much right behind him. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so now we're getting into the harder part of the race. We're starting to have a lot more open to us.
Well, you definitely want to go and collect those Seekers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that's going to be a big turning point.
Now, they don't open up a lot, like, immediately, so I don't really expect Sash to rush it so much. I suspect they'll probably clean up a couple things in Light Aegon first, since they have their beams.
Yeah, I wouldn't say make an immediate detour right for it, but we're going to be doing Aegon Labs regardless. And because of both beams, that gets us Battleground, and we get some Dark Aegon Labs as well. It's not going to be out of the way. It's just great. We have the information. We know it's there. So we're in a good position to do Aegon Labs later. And by later, just in a few minutes. But it looks like Sasquatch is going for backwards labs. Are we going for Vent Area A? Yes, we are, because we have access to... Yes, we do. We have a power bomb, so we can use Sand Canyon. Yep.
And they can also check Spider Side on the way. With the 3 items of Spider Treasure, that, even if that's nothing, that's very good knowledge to have.
It is, but I'm worried just based on... If you do Spider's Treasure and find something really good, do you get baited into doing more of Sanctuary?
That is an interesting question. I mean, unless it's like Echo or Cobalt, I don't really see much value to doing more of Sank right now. I mean, yeah, you have the Spider Ball, but you're also just one suit away from Torvis Axis. And with the Emerald Translator being your only other translator, I think you would want to be pushing Torvis as quickly as you can just to get some intel.
I mean, Torvis is a good play, but I'm a little apprehensive of Torvis. Just without supers, Torvis can be a bit of a problem to try to route. That, and we're locking ourselves out of lower Torvis unless we do a very complicated out of bounds. Oh, that, and logically speaking, we do need Amber or Boost Ball to get into Torvis. And thank you, Camir, for that information. Alright, so Spider's Treasure. While Leaf makes their way back to Aegon entrance, Sasquatch has managed to make their way into Spider's Treasure. And what we mean by Spider's Treasure is it's a nickname we've given to a collection of three items within this little spider side elevator. So, 1, we've got Hall of Combat Mastery. 2 is here with Culling Chamber. And 3, we're heading to right now, would be Hazing Cliff. Now, is Hazing Cliff worth anything today?
It is an STK, so it is.
Absolutely. All right, so STK number 2 over on Hazencliff. Oh,
And it looks
already.
like Leaf, on the other hand, is electing to go into labs through the front.
All right, so we got our first major route difference.
Knowing that the Seekers are in Dark Labs, I actually kind of like Leaf's routing a little more here, because you can just do the Light Lab, go back around, dip into Dark Labs, and then come out in main reactor, and then just use the spider to continue through and do the spider side checks that Sasquatch just did. And with those Seekers, you can continue back into Aegon after you check them, and go through the light beam, go through Sand Canyon, into the dark beam door in Temple, and check Mining Station B. And that looks like a suit.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We got a big item shine shimmering through the command center grate.
Okay, so what Leaf is attempting here is to actually skip the lockdown layer. So if you shoot a beam into that area where you come out of the Morph Ball tunnel in command center, you can actually trigger the lockdown without triggering the lockdown. And when you come back through here, you can leave the tunnel safely without getting yourself locked in this room and having to do the lockdown puzzle. On Sasquatch's side, we have Dark Samus 1.
Yeah, Sasquatch attempted to get a one-shot powerbomb kill on Dark Samus, but unfortunately, powerbomb placement was just a bit off, and Dark Samus moved out of the powerbomb range, and as such, we have to do phase 2 of DS1. But no fear, we do have Dark Beam, so that makes this fight absolutely a cakewalk.
Despite having Dark in her name, Dark Samus is in fact a denizen of the Light World and therefore weak to the Dark Beam.
And speaking of something, how about we have a boost ball here on Storage D?
Okay, and with that boost ball and those Seekers,
and an Annihilator off of Storage B.
a lot of stuff in labs.
You can say that again.
So that Annihilator makes me immediately suspicious of Incash 2.
Oh, yeah, that's an out-of-the-way check, but yeah. What am I trying to say here?
And then we have a Dark Aegon key in Reactor.
And a beam related on Dark Oasis.
So we know that's dead. We have our three main beams, and the only other important beam-related item would be super missiles, and you need super missiles to get to Lower Torvis. And the Dark Oasis item is only active after Power Bomb Guardian has been defeated in Torvis.
Yep, and we got another STK hiding here on Sand Processing. So locked right behind the boost ball that we've just acquired.
That actually routed very nicely for Sasquatch since they did labs backwards and got that boost ball. Leaf is going to have to turn around and do this.
And real quick, while we do have a little bit of time, today's race is hosted by our very own Erin Explosives. So you can thank her for the fabulous time of a required checkout today. Oh, and Leaf just bonked on the lip of bioenergy. Now we gotta do it all over again. Oh, an interesting play here. Sasquatch is going for storage C skip by trying to get out of bounds.
If you're comfortable with this, then yeah, this is a good play because storage C is often orphaned, and just knowing what it is can be very powerful.
Right. So what Sasquatch essentially did, the important thing to note is when using screw attack, your hitbox is the size of the morph ball. And for that very reason, if we screw attack inside a morph ball tunnel or a morph ball opening, once the animation ends, because our hitbox is larger than the size of that actual tunnel, the game has no choice but to position us outside of said tunnel. So congratulations, we've just clipped out of bounds. And Rico, you're a little bit more familiar with out of bounds movement than I am, so how difficult is it to actually move through these rooms and layer transitions?
Well, that depends on who you talk to. Me, I think it's very hard because I often end up getting myself soft-locked in stupid places. But basically, the way it works is every room in these Metroid Prime games exists inside of a box. And on the inside of the box, all of the physics. Outside of the box, none of the physics really exist. Instead, you have what we refer to as Aether, which has a lot of very interesting and weird features. So you cannot normally fall in the Aether, and oh, that is a red key. Dark Aegon Key 2. Sash apparently doesn't think it's important enough to attempt to get, which I can sympathize with because it's a lot easier to get into that room out of bounds than it is to get back out of bounds in that room.
Yeah, you're making a fair point. I mean, once we're clipped into storage C, the only real way out is by trying to screw attack into the floor and using two pieces of angled geometry to push us out of bounds, which it's not a fun time.
Yeah, basically, you have to screw attack yourself into a pile of debris, and the debris, if you've done it right, will send you flying through the floor.
So
I believe to get it to work, you need both.
Routes, and because of such, Leaf acquired their darks. I mean, what do you think? You need both that? Well, we need screw attack for it, absolutely, but...
Yeah, so you need both forward and downward momentum for the rubble to send you through the floor. It's really specific how you have to do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Having the geometry push yourself forward through the collision, instead of just gliding against it and having it push us back into the room. But speaking of room, you saw Dark Samus on Leaf's side, and then you didn't see Dark Samus. For whatever reason, Dark Samus takes a lot of damage by power bombs.
There are a lot of early game bosses in this game that are incredibly weak to power bombs. Mostly because the developers didn't really bother to program resistances to them because you're not supposed to have power bombs when you fight them. And Dark Samus 1 is one of those bosses. So if you can land a power bomb on her, it's basically an instant kill.
Yeah, but as we saw with Sasquatch, it's a little time dependent. Yeah, we gotta make sure Dark Samus stays in that power bomb hitbox for at least a handful of frames. As if not, once she gets out of that damage range, well, now we're entering phase 2.
The easiest way to do that is to actually bait her missile shield animation, because that will freeze her in place briefly.
Yeah, which is a smart move, as once that shield goes down, she's standing still for at least, at what, 7-8 frames? Which is more than enough to get that power bomb off. Alright, so Sasquatch is making their way to mining station, central mining, while Leaf takes their first dip into Dark Aegon, and congratulations, have your Seeker launcher. Nope, even though we're in Dark Aegon, there's not much we can do here. We've got Battlegrounds.
Well, with Annihilator, we can definitely do Incash 2. With Dark and Light Beam, we can do Incash 1. And with Annihilator, this item here, if it's anything, is free. It looks like it's just a missile.
Well, as you mentioned briefly before, Incash 2. With how far out that room is, if it has anything useful for Leaf, it could play a good position right here. Although
Yeah,
granted,
so
Sasquatch is like,
with how stacked Light Labs was, it's hard to exactly know which is their most recent piece of progression. But since that Light Beam hasn't been, or Annihilator Beam hasn't been used for anything yet, I am suspicious of that Incash.
I agree with you. Annihilator Beam is so free to get off the Storage B due to Dark Beam. So having that check being open right now, there's no reason why you shouldn't go for it. And as we've seen in previous races along a handful of these weeks, by isolating one check, you could be setting yourself up here for missing out on a major.
I don't really recommend picking up the item that Sasquatch just did if you can avoid it. So grabbing the item in that Incash actually triggers a layer change in Mining Station A, which spawns air troopers. And the air troopers are, well, the best way I can put them is annoying. So if you can avoid them, I usually recommend avoiding them.
Alright, so this begs the question. Does Sasquatch go for Incash 2? And it looks like
Looks like they're going for it.
Alright,
If this is something, then Leaf is going to be really punished because you're not going back to Incash 2.
No, it's just way too far out of the way right now. Speaking of which, if you could put any one item here, what would it be?
Well, in my race, we had Amber Translator in Incash 2.
That is an absolutely terrible thing to have. I'm just gonna say put Gravity Boost here just to make Lower Torvus fun. Oh,
and
dang it.
Incash 2 is nothing.
Well, at least Sasquatch got the hint and knows it's done. We're done in Dark Labs for now. Actually, we're done. You know, unless we absolutely need to do feeding pit and battlegrounds in cache, then
Or worms.
or worms. You know. Although granted, we don't have information on worm itself. Oh, and Leaf's having fun with the quad, getting bullied a little bit.
Well, with what we have now, we do have a decent chunk of upper sank in logic. But without that cobalt to get hints, I don't really find that very attractive. On the other hand, with Seekers and Boost, we have access into Torvis through the side door and underground tunnel. And as we know, underground tunnel tends to be very important.
Yep, in the infamous words of our one and only Captain MD, there's always progression in underground tunnel.
And we have a bit of a high five in Sand Canyon.
You know, I sort of do like the Torvis play right now. Even if we do access it through the side entrance off of Torvis Temple, going through what is it, underground tunnel right away, that'll open up Forgotten Bridge, so we don't have to worry about gate skip.
And get us a hint.
Right, it gets us the Emerald hint.
And there's an STK in Mining Station B.
Oh, come on.
This is one of my favorite rooms in this game because there's like 7 different ways to trick your way to that item. And it's always interesting seeing which one a runner's gonna pick.
Alright, well, since you brought that up, what's your favorite way to do MSB?
Single BSJ into a screw attack onto the rock that blocks the portal, and then screw attack into the item.
Interesting. My personal favorite, although it does take a little bit of setup, raise the drill to level 2, then do 2 slope jumps against the edge of the room.
Oh yeah, that one's fun. Basically, when you do that, you can climb this room as if you're in the Dark World.
Yeah, I like it. It takes time, but it's, in my opinion, if you're not comfortable with bomb space jumps, it makes it a lot easier. Alright, so now that Mining Station B is done, our runners have a bit of a choice they can make. Do you decide to go through... No, we can't do Torvis through the front door. We don't have Amber to get into Lagoon. Okay, so because of that, do you enter Torvis through underground tunnel, or do you hope for a little bit more cleanup? Well, at this point, I mean, you really don't want to dive into Sanctuary. There's not much we can do out without Echo Visor.
But since we have Spider, we can basically get through most of Sank. Leaving behind the Echo checks does suck a bit, but you can get most everything else.
Alright, so that's fair. Movement-wise, we're okay. But even with Sanctuary, we can't access Sank entrance to make an easy play back to Temple. And the only other elevator is Lower Torvis, which we'll need to do Statue Skip for. I mean, Statue Skip isn't hard, but we're completely locked in Lower Torvis since we don't actually get Torvis Energy's item.
Yeah, and with no grav boost, moving through Lower Torvis is a slog.
Yeah, that's why I'm not really a huge fan of doing Sanctuary right now. Just due to the limited possibilities once you're done. I mean, you're going to have a fun time doing a save warp, but then again, it's a save warp. You really don't want to do it unless you have to.
The main thing that would direct me at this point would be that Emerald Translator, since that is the only translator we have. The only hints we have access to are the ones in Upper Torvis. And I feel like they could be very valuable at this point since we're so starved for information without that amber.
I completely agree, and we've seen it multiple times before where, if for whatever reason, Lower Torvus seems to have a majority of the best hints out there.
Oh, it appears that Sasquatch is going for Hall of Honor Dead, which is fully in logic with those Seekers and Boost.
Yeah, but let's go and take a peek at Defiled Shrine first, which tells us there's a missile-related upgrade here.
So that is dead.
Man, looks like Leaf is trying to go for the slope jump method to clear Mining Station B. So by raising the drill to level 2, we can do a slope jump on a pile of sand to get on top of the drill, and then use the slope on Leaf's current left to gain some height and screw attack over, but Leaf was just a little too short. Please tell me those are not supers. Yeah, those are supers in Hall of Honored.
Okay, with the supers, that definitely points me to Torvus.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that gets you your lower Torvus access immediately, and saves a lot of routing, as you can go right through Abandoned Worksite into Forgotten Bridge. Go to Dark Torvus, you can go right through the same pathway.
Grab all of your emerald hints, which they are now all fully accessible with those supers.
You know, fun little fact, thankfully, this puzzle is not randomized for Hall of Honor Dead. I don't know who would ever want to randomize it, unless you really want to have a bad time.
Okay, so what Sasquatch is attempting is what's called an instant morph. So, normally when you enter Morph Ball, there's a little animation that plays, but if you can obscure the camera as you're transforming, the game will not play the animation and will immediately send you into Morph Ball form with complete control. And Sash used that to essentially jump into that Morph Ball tunnel that you normally enter the room through. Amber Translator is in Sky Temple ground. No.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly 2 rooms away from Plane of Dark Worship.
Okay, so that's a Cursed Lake.
Yes, it is.
No, Plane of Dark Worship, not Pod W. Plane of 2 rooms away.
Pod W is Plane of Dark Worship.
Yes, it is. Oh God.
What are you thinking? More Ritual Grounds?
Yeah. I've had a long week. I had to do double shifts.
A visor can be found in Inghive. Thanks, game. That's something you don't want to see. And I understand having long work shifts. But hey, use this time to relax, sit back with a good Echoes tournament race. We get to curse the runners, have fun with chat, and be happy that we're not the ones playing this due to required chicka.
And we have Sasquatch moving towards STK hints. So we shall know in a second what the damage is. Meanwhile, Leaf is already in Torvus and moving towards Underground Tunnel.
Oh, at least gonna have a fun time due to supers being on Hall of Honored. Although Leaf's routing, it makes complete sense. You've already done Aegon, you have everything you need to break into Torvus through Underground Tunnel, and you have the perfect elevator for it. Routing-wise, it's a great idea. Although
Gravity Boost in Hydro Dynamo Station.
That is a great location for it. Right as you enter Lower Torvus, there's your gravity. Perfect
I've noticed
location.
that Rando just loves to shove gravity or Seekers there.
All right, SDK hints time. What do we have today, Rico?
Sank Energy Controller. So O'Lear.
Everyone loves O'Lear.
He has the best words. Dark Aegon Waste Battleground, so that is the Dark Visor in cache. We already knew Dark Torvus Temple. Hive Entrance, so Light Suit.
Okay. Thanks, game.
Torvus Bog Portal Chamber Light, that is accessible.
Yeah, it's not terrible. And that's all of them. All right, so for future reference, all of your hints have been posted below.
We are Light Suit, Dark Visor, Go mode.
Pretty much. Although Leaf could really use those supers. Oh, actually, no, we're not. No, we're not, Rika. We still need those Torvus keys.
Yes, we do.
We got 2 Torvus keys that are missing, and we've yet to find the Torvus key hint itself. But as Leaf continues their way through Torvus Grove into Torvus Plaza, it doesn't appear to be anything useful so far in this Torvus section. And already Chad is throwing out cursed locations. KRR with the required Chica key on Airy, Delta with Gravity and Echo to be determined.
So a required Chica key on Airy would basically require full tracker.
I mean, at this point, we're getting close to it. No, but I'd say Sasquatch has a major lead due to that break of finding supers in Hall
And
of Honor.
there is Cannonball in Plaza Access.
Okay,
Leaf
well,
electing to leave it behind.
Well, I said it's a smart move. You can come back and get this right before doing Chica. Oh, any other main boss since? No, we do not have any knowledge outside of Chica. We are still missing the Quadraxis information and the Amorbus info. Which at this point we are only really looking for Dark Visor. Do we need Echo? We don't really
Only
need
if Echo locks Dark Visor, Light Suit, or one of the Torvus keys.
We've got 2 most information as well. Thank you, Ivy. We're still waiting on that. Oh, and Sasquatch doesn't have Amber to get into Lagoon. Oh, by the way...
and there's Echo.
Yeah, there's your Echo Visor that you're looking for. Yeah, Sasquatch is only access, as Delta mentioned in chat. The only way we can get in is by going back through Aegon Waste. We have to use the elevator in Transport Center. Or Sasquatch should go out of bounds and just quite literally walk around the Amber Gate. Oh, that's a pretty tight out of bounds to try to land.
I mean, walls are just a suggestion, really.
I mean, you're right, but trying to hit your screw attack that far on the ground.
Now, does Boost Guardian have anything?
Well, that depends. Where exactly?
Boost Guardian is another one of those bosses that can be instantly killed with a power bomb, but there's a little bit of a hiccup here, in that a power bomb will actually make Boost Guardian flinch if it's in its fully solid form. And is that a Torvus key? No, Inghive.
Yeah, that's an Inghive.
So the trick to Boost Guardian is to wait until it does its slash to drop your power bomb, because then it will drop down into its puddle form, And the puddle doesn't flinch from the power bomb, so it will be hit multiple times. Otherwise, you're going to run into Boost Guardian's damage gates, and it's going to trigger its semi-invulnerable boost form. Which is not fun.
No, and speaking of not fun, let's taking a look at Sasquatch. Well, never mind, they just pulled it off, and they fell to the bottom. That's a long climb to make.
Ooh, that is a low floor.
Oh, they're gonna have a fun time climbing back up.
Oh!
But on the plus side, have some unlimited missiles for Leaf. We did forget to mention before starting today's race, but we do have 2 runners' agreements. Number 1, we are on new patcher. And number 2, we do have multiplayer items shuffled. So multiplayer items, we have unlimited beam, unlimited missiles, and double damage that can be acquired.
Now, the good news is that unlimited ammo is not on Chaika, so that is potentially available.
Something tells me you're referencing something that happened to you before.
Yep. That was our seed yesterday.
I am so sorry.
No one was getting that.
No, and I feel bad for Sasquatch right now, trying to slowly climb up the Aether box here. It's entirely possible. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, Rico, by moving in and out of the box respectfully, we do have a few frames where we can input some jump inputs.
Yeah, so it goes back to that whole physics thing. Inside the box there's the physics, outside the box there's the Aether. As you transition between the two, you have a brief 3-frame window where the game still thinks you are landed, and if you can input a jump during that window, it will trigger as if you were on solid ground. And you can use that to climb up the side of the box by just transitioning back and forth between the Aether.
And speaking of which, Sasquatch has a great rhythm going on. He's almost back to the top. You know, all we gotta do is clip back inbounds, and we're okay. Up and Soaring Wyvern pointing out in chat the exact reason why we had such a low room. So, due to the fact that Path of Roots here, Path of Roots, Hollow Eyes, one of the two, because we're right next to Windchamber Gateway, Windchamber Gateway has a Terminal Fall trigger. And because Terminal Fall requires us to be so low, that's where the entirety of the low height is coming from. Well, you learn something new every day, it seems.
So one of the big risks with out-of-bounds movement is that you do not want to accidentally trigger a screw attack. So screw attack ends essentially when Samus touches solid ground. And in Aether, there is no solid ground to touch.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
So if you accidentally trigger a screw attack, you will fall forever.
Which is an absolutely terrible fate. Yeah, but if Sasquatch can pull us off first try, it will save him some time. And even so, we are saving time without going back to Aegon. Alright, so Sasquatch has the proper room loaded. We've unloaded Path of Roots, and now we have the access to the elevator open.
So when traversing out of bounds, the way to get into other rooms is to generally just jump on top of a door and jump back and forth until you hit a loading trigger, which will transition the room and load it. Now, to get back in bounds from out of bounds, and oh, there's a terminal fall, you could just do that, because the game will reposition you back onto solid ground. Or you can do what's called a ceiling warp, which takes advantage of something called wrong rooming. So you can use that door to make the game think you are in a different room from where you actually are. And the room that you are then in will not be fully loaded, which will allow you to take advantage of several bugs in the programming. Most notably, you can use morph ball bombs and unmorphing to force yourself through the ceiling of a room if you unmorph on sloped collision.
And a quick side note, we did get another emerald hint off of Path of Roots itself, which told us that a major upgrade was in Forgotten Bridge, which in turn was our echo. Thank you, game, for telling us something we already know. But for Sasquatch, that'll be new information as they went in through Lagoon
Is that
and
Amber?
not through Temple. Please be Amber. That'd be pretty nice to have. No, that's a missile.
I saw the orange and got hopeful.
Oh, I'm sorry, my friend, but that's just a missile. Oh no, Leaf is going to have a problem real soon.
Yeah, without those super missiles, there's not a lot. Oh, there is another Dark Aegon key.
Oh, by the way, we're smart. We got information that Amber's on a cursed lake earlier.
We did, didn't we?
Yes, we did, and we both completely forgot about it. Why aren't you reminding me to write this stuff down? That's okay, I should be reminding myself to write it down.
So what Satch is doing here is what's called a bomb space jump. So it takes advantage of that instant morph glitch that I mentioned earlier where you obscure the camera. That works in reverse too. So if you obscure the camera while unmorphing, the same thing will happen. And so, once you leave the ground from a morph ball bomb, there is a brief, I believe, 22-frame window where the game still treats you as being grounded. So, using an instant unmorph to regain control of Samus in that window, you can actually input a space jump and reach heights that you are not meant to reach.
Nope, and Leaf's taking the save warp out. As well, either you A, return to Aegon, or B, save warp. That's the only two ways we have out. I mean, we could do a bit of a fall in Torvus Temple to go to Lower Torvus, except that would be extremely risky.
So the reason that Leaf cannot get any further in Torvus is because in order to get through that elevator in Torvus Temple, you need to pick up the item in Torvus Energy Controller for it to be active. And those are Dark Torvus key hints. And Dark Burst in Energy Controller.
What did that say? Dark Torvus Aegon? No, Dark Torvus Temple and Light Torvus?
I couldn't read, the text was too blurry on my screen.
No, I think one of them had to have been Aegon. So, yeah, because we did find one. Okay, Dark Aegon, Temple Grounds, and Lake Torbus. Thank you, Delta. Oh, that's a good point. We did see the hint. We did see a peek of a key hiding on Fortress Temple access. So we've got a required Chicka key hiding behind a light suit check.
Well, we know we needed the light suit anyway, so...
That's fair. Oh, and good news for Leaf. We're not hot dogging Hall of Honor Dead. So now we get to go find our wonderful supers. After we manage to open the door.
Whoever programmed the Seeker missiles should be ashamed of themselves.
Okay, I'm going to say no, only for one reason. At least it's not as bad as Corruption Seekers.
Okay, but we're setting a low bar.
Okay, oh, that's fair, but I mean, what other Seekers are there? And don't include Storm Missiles, that's a totally different programming. I can't think of any other instance for a Seeker Missile.
And you actually will just roll under that item in Hall of Honor Dead. So you need to either demorph or hit it with a bomb jump to actually get it. That one's always a little jarring because it looks lower than it actually is.
Alright, but now that we have supers, hopefully Leaf goes back to Torvus. But although, because they have supers and seekers, it could set them up for some STK hints.
Yeah, generally if you can get STK hints, you should. So I expect that's what they'll attempt to do now.
It makes the most sense. Knowledge is key, especially in Echoes. Echoes on like Prime, for example, Echoes is very interconnected with its worlds. I mean, when you have so much equipment, you have a lot of regions open up to you. It's hard to really focus on where should you be staying, where should you keep your focus at.
Without that dark visor, that amber is not accessible.
Unfortunately not. Well, on the bright side, at least Amber isn't currently locking anything useful that we know of. And with the visor...
So that visor hint is pointing to dark visor.
Oh, you know what I'm just realizing? Quadraxis doesn't require Dark Visor to logically be defeated.
No, it does not require dark, but it does logically require echo, which we have.
Yeah, and Echo's here on Forgotten Bridge, which, again, doesn't need Dark Visor to be acquired. We could totally have a required quad for Dark Visor. And if that were to happen, well, that'll be fun. Oh, and Sasquatch pulled off a wonderful Torvus Plaza skip right in here.
And then fell. But I guess they saw the item, so...
Yeah, but it had to have been intentional. Although, granted, Torvus Plaza is a terrible, terrible puzzle. That dang Sporb likes to do not nice things and ruin your puzzle progress.
I hate Sporbs so much. I have named every single one of them after a member of tech support at my job.
Throwing tech support under the bus.
Well, it's hard to call them support when I'm the one who has to explain to them how their system works.
Well, that's not a very, supportful thing.
No, it's not.
Although with that, although let's take a look at it. We have the information for a visor on Hive. We know it can't be Hive entrance. We know it's not Culling Chamber or Hazing Cliff. So and it can't be Hive Dynamo. So there's only 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 locations it can be.
It can be gyro.
Could be quad.
Or either of the ATS checks.
Yep. 25% chance of it being a very bad location. And yet another save warp by Leaf. Let's go.
Now, this was a reset.
Lightning. Well, we still warped to last save, technically.
Well, that vlog is being kind of helpful by damage boosting Sasquatch across that little bridge.
Well, it's better than trying to go for Alpha Blog and ask for his help. Alpha Blog's not the very talkative type. Although I'm sad because we don't really get to see any instance of air underwater today.
That's grav boost in Hydro Dynamo Station. It always cracks me up when you see it there. I mean, we knew it was there, but still, it's just funny. Because it's like, this is a room you don't want to enter without grav boost. So naturally, the game loves to put grav boost there.
I mean, you're fair. But, I mean, granted, air underwater isn't a terrible check to pull off. It's just frame perfect. But due to us having gravity boost right here in Hydro Dynamo Station, air underwater is something we won't be discussing today as we have no instance for it.
And light ammo on worms.
I told you the lower Torvusins were going to be useful. And how much you want to bet Leaf's going right back for Torvus now that he's entered Aegon again?
I mean, that sounds like a decent play. I mean, there's not much else you can get in Aegon.
Oh, but I mean, even we do have Echo, followed by Supers and Seekers, so it could be in Leaf's best interest to start cleaning up some Sanctuary and hope to come across those Torvus keys.
And there is a red key.
Well, we do have information that a Chicka key is here on Light Torvus. And Sasquatch is having fun with bomb jumps today.
Oh, it appears that Leaf is actually going to Sank. I think they're chasing that Dark Visor.
It makes the most sense. And once you have Dark Visor, it makes a little bit of cleanup easier. You have that battlegrounding cache to take care of. Dark Torvus Temple for the exit sequence. Hive entrance especially. So, by us doing Sanctuary, it will essentially make Torvus clean up a little easier.
And that is indeed our Torvis key.
All right, so transit tunnel south. And we have yet another hint, which tells us that the keys to Dark Aegon are all within Aegon and Torvis. With Dungeon having a Morph Ball related, I'm sorry, but we do not need that today. While I'm being reminded that it's Transit Tunnel East and not South. I always get those two backwards. I apologize. Yep, there's a question. Is Chika required? Absolutely. Once again, we have a required Chika for a Sky Temple key.
And that is a missile in gyro.
Well, that boosts our chance to about, I believe it's 30...
33%. That is on quad.
Alright, so do you do Quadraxis right away because you have Annihilator to backdoor it? Or do you last location? Well, yeah, you're going to last location quad anyway.
Last location it.
Yeah. You've got ATS left, so you'll be checking both of those before doing quad.
Yeah. And with a 2 out of 3 chance that it's an ATS, you absolutely want to check ATS. Progressive Suit is in Cache B.
Alright, we know Light Suit's location. Cache B, right behind Dark Torvis Temple, locked on a super missile check. That is useful information to have. We will definitely take knowledge. And who needs to climb this room properly, Sasquatch? Just slope jump against the laser eye.
It's easier to actually jump onto the morph ball slot over there. And you can screw attack off of that to get to the door. As Sasha is demonstrating right now.
It looks like Leaf is making progress into Sanctuary, climbing Cat East. You get all the way up to Dynamo Chamber and Main Gyro. Oh, does Hive Dynamo Works have anything useful for us today? Missile related? No, it does not. What about spiders? Nope, nothing. That's a missile. Okay, well then... I guess we're off to Watch Station. After saying hello to our good buddy, O'Lear first.
Yeah, O'Lear has a key. You definitely don't want to forget about him.
Well, that, and it's just common courtesy to say hello to O'Lear when you're here in Sanctuary.
Now, with the new patcher, these color puzzles are randomized.
Not a terrible puzzle. Not bad at all. Although I've yet to see it in person, but I know it has happened. There is proof of it. There is an extremely rare chance that this puzzle, once activated, can be instantly complete.
Yeah, stuff like that is always a treat when you see it. Like, I know in Prime 1, there's a chance that you can get, what's that room in Mines? With a cloaked drone.
Right?
You can get a puzzle where that is immediately open.
Well, that'd be pretty amazing to have.
Ah, out of missiles.
Ouch. It's a bad time to run out.
So in this scenario, it's actually better to just empty your missiles or grab the unlimited missile ammo. I mean, that works too. But if you have 0 missiles, there's a very high chance that the game will give you a double missile drop.
All right, so let's go and keep on rolling. Say hello to Alir. We're going to grab the STK and walk out without even saying hello. Well, that's not very nice. Alir leaves you something nice to have, and you just walk away without saying a word.
And on Sasha's side, we have picked up that light suit, so FTA is now accessible.
And that'll eventually get us that last Torvis key, which will open up access to fight Chica. Alright, but we got Sentinel's Path here. Low, medium, low, medium. That's not a terrible echo puzzle.
Sometimes Annihilator's homing can be a curse.
Yes, it can. Hey, look, a red key. Hey, look, an Inghive key. Well, I'm sorry, game, but we have the ability to bypass those keys.
Well, I mean, just because you can enter someone's house through their window doesn't mean you should.
I mean, you're absolutely fair, but we're not... I mean, yeah, I guess we kind of are. I mean, it's better than just breaking down the front door, I mean. Yeah, we don't want to cause property damage or anything.
Ugh, Leaf making that slope jump look easy. It is not easy. You cannot make me do that slope jump.
Yeah, it can be a fun one, but the even harder part is trying to jump backwards and get an instant morph into the bomb slot. Or
And
not.
Leaf electing just not to do it. I honestly can't really blame them. So, this room actually has one of my absolute favorite tricks in it. You don't need to get into this bomb slot with an instant morph. You can actually screw attack bonk yourself on top of that spider track, and you can then bomb jump around to the bottom and just go into the bomb slot.
Well, that seems like a very convoluted way to go about it.
It's actually really not. It's really easy.
Oh, and Sasquatch is back in Lower Torvis. Hey, look, there's the visor, right here on ATS.
And unfortunately, no quad.
Oh, dang it! I was hopeful, but that's good news for Leaf.
And on Sasha's side, he is entering Torvis through the vault side elevator. I mean, entering Sank from Torvis.
Yes, let us enter Torvis while already being in Torvis. We have one-way elevators. Oh, that would be very not nice for a race setting, one way anywheres.
Yep. And with the cannonball, Sash can just ignore danger. So cannonball is probably best described as a pseudo item. So normally when you enter one of those kinetic cannons, the game gives you an item that's called cannonball and then takes it away when you hit collision. Now the randomizer can just treat that temporary item as an actual item and shuffle it. And when with Cannonball, your Morph Ball state has some very interesting characteristics. It will give you access to boost even if you don't have Boost Ball, and will function largely the same with a few exceptions. There are some things that Boost Ball normally breaks that Cannonball is incapable of doing. Most notable is the glass outside of Airy. So if you need to go to Airy, you cannot do that if you have Cannonball. Also, while in the Morph Ball state, you are immune to damage if you have Cannonball. And several enemies that are weak to cannon damage or just don't resist it will take an absurdly high amount of damage every frame. Res bits are, I believe, 4 times weak to Cannonball, so the damage they take per frame is in the millions.
Yeah, I think last calculation, normal enemy successful hit 500,000 damage per successful frame. Multiplied by 4, you're looking at 2 million hit points of damage against a res bit. Which is the absolute best thing that could ever happen to a res bit, as they are one of the most annoying little critters to go against.
Now, there is... Oh, is that unlimited ammo? No. Double damage is still nice. You love double damage. But as I was about to say, there is one enemy in particular that does not resist Cannonball, and that is the adult phase of the Guardian of Torvis Temple, Chaika. Which, if you manage to roll underneath that boss, it will instantly end the second phase of that boss battle.
I could be wrong, but I believe the reason it's scripted that way is due to on a technicality of, well, Cannonball can defeat a War Wasp.
No, I was actually told that too, but that is not the case. It is simply a case that they did not code a resistance to Cannonball into that adult phase. And enemies that do not resist it just take an absurdly high amount of damage. So since the adult doesn't have a resistance to it, it takes a high amount of damage, and it likely doesn't have a resistance because they didn't think they needed to give it one.
You know, I like the theory better of saying, "Oh, you're a giant war wasp. Well, congratulations." But it's interesting to know. Hey, you never knew that. But before we can access Chica, we still have to get one more key locked on FTA. And that's going to prove a little bit of a problem for Leaf, due to the fact
there is unlimited ammo.
Oh, and Leaf's going for lower Torvis off of Thank Vault side elevator. This is going to be a little painful for Leaf, as they don't have a way to get back into upper Torvis from lower. I don't believe Leaf's done.
They have supers. They picked up supers.
No, that's not what that's not the problem, though. Did Leaf ever pick up the item from Torvis Energy?
No, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because he had him from Torvus Center. No, that's the elevator. No, did Leaf do the Torvus? No, is it
They
locked to
did
the
the
temple
fight
fight
so
itself?
that
Okay.
yeah, they did the fight
Okay.
so that invisible wall should be gone.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the elevator itself for the Emerald Translator. Nope. My mistake. I'm thinking of a different lock.
So normally for this elevator to be accessible, you have to move this giant statue. But if you boost off of this track at the right angle, you can actually just rocket over the statue and not have to move it at all.
And speaking of not moving things, over on Sasquatch's side, normally we would need Dark Visor and Seekers to open the cannon. Well, we want to keep Cannonball, so we don't want to use that cannon itself. And there's two different methods we can use here. At method number one, we can do a slope jump off of the door entryway into a high point screw attack. If we screw attack at just the peak when going over the rail, we can just barely make it. But the easier method...
That is hell.
Yeah, it is. But it's... But thankfully, doing the bomb space jump method is a lot easier, as the screw attack requires way too precise of a height. Never mind.
And he gets it immediately.
So yes, Sasquatch does have Dark Visor and Seekers, so they have the ability to get that cannon active.
But they don't want to because of their cannonball. If they go through that cannon and hit collision, they lose cannonball. And they do not want to lose that until after they've taken out that giant mosquito.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I never thought about Chica as a mosquito before.
I mean, that's really what it is. It has an aquatic larva form. Its imago form has the giant proboscis that it uses to suck things up.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I never put two and two together on that before. All right, so we're an hour and 47 minutes in. Both runners have 5 SDKs to their name. Leaf is down by 1 Torvus key, which is found here in Lower Torvus, and they're both missing the FTA Torvus key. Now, Sasquatch does have a slight advantage due to finding supers earlier and able to get their light suit before Leaf, so that will route perfectly in for that FTA key. Oh, and Hive entrance as well. Leaf still has to go to get that light suit before Hive entrance.
Yeah, unfortunately, missing those supers are really punishing him. Yeah, that is a good point brought up by Delta. Leaf also lacks the knowledge of where the Torvus keys are.
But on the plus side, they do have information that... Yeah, they got information about that, what do you call it? The light suit. Thank God, I can think of names. I can think of names. So, that's good for Leaf. Information on light suit being in Upper Dark Torvus. Although the downside is it's behind Chica, so you have to go to Chica, get the light suit, then go back to Temple Grounds, get the key, then go all the way back to Chica just to do the fight, and then go back to Temple Grounds so you can get to Sky Temple.
Thank you for pointing that out. Leaf's preferred pronouns are they, them, and I realized that this entire match I have been looking at Nai's pronouns.
Oh, the text is so small, I could barely see it. I apologize. Well, we apologize in advance for the mispronunciation and the what do you call it? The misgendering. So that's on us. All right, so Sasquatch has 3 keys left to locate. We know we have the Torvus. We have Torvus. We just picked up Hive Entrance, so what do we have? Let's see. Let's see. Say, no, we did that one. Battleground Zinc Cache we have left. Sank Energy Controller. And then Dark Torvus Temple. Leafy, on the other hand, let's see, they're still missing 4. So we still need Dark Torvus, we need Hive Entrance, Battleground Zinc Cache, and then there was one other one. I don't think Leaf did Portal Chamber yet.
No, I think they did.
Oh, they did? I know one of them did. I thought Sasquatch did upon their first pass.
I thought both of them picked that one up.
That's entirely possible. There's one key that I can't think of that Leaf needs.
It's the Hive Entrance one. That's the one that Sash has that Leaf does not have.
No light suit to actually get it. But there's information for Dark Torvus Temple keys for Leaf. That'll get them information on where they need to focus on. Oh, but what's painful is Leaf was in Lower Torvus, didn't get the red key. And so now Leaf makes their way back into Lower Torvus. Nope, we're going to take a detour and go to Aegon. No, we're not. And how about we get you another E-tank off the feeding pit today?
No one has still explained to me what they are feeding here.
Well, you see, with feeding pit, we are feeding the pit with the pool of poisonous liquid. And as such, the dark inglets are able to feed off of said poison. And I am running out of a way to continue this analogy.
So, fun little fact, those ink caches don't start moving until you switch back to combat visor from dark visor. So once the interference pops up, you can just keep firing in a straight line and you will hit that ink cache.
Now, Sasquatch is making up a plenty of ground here today. And unfortunately for Leaf, they're still missing 2 Torvus keys. Now, granted, one's in Lower Torvus, but until they have that light suit, they can't get the one here in Temple Grounds.
On the bright side, they should be getting that light suit very soon.
That is a positive, yes. But as Delta pointed out earlier, because Leaf didn't get those supers on first pass through Torvus, it's hindering greatly, and, well, we're just increasing the time before we do the backtracking. I mean, no fault for Leaf at all. The way they routed it was beautiful at the time. You know, you didn't have information on supers. They were highly likely to be found in Torvus themselves. So going to Torvus was worth it at the time. It's just that supers were sadly placed in a location that was, how do we say, really dumb. And there's a red key they saw off of FTA. There's your last Chica key. Go and defeat the boss, Sasquatch. And that's light suit for Leaf. Now, and Delta's bringing up another great point. The lack of information in today's race was astonishing. We had Violet hints, but they weren't terribly useful. We had Emerald hints, which were okay, but nothing that was terribly game-changing. Outside of maybe the Torvus key hints. But the entirety of Amber and the entirety of Cobalt hints have just gone unanswered this entire time.
So this gate that Sash is approaching is still locked, and he still does not have Amber, so he's going to have to do that out of bounds again.
Well, that's sure to be a fun time. Hopefully we don't go down. Yep, and Leaf decided to take a save warp, and they still got a lot of cleanup left to do in both Aegon and Torvus. And a faraway check over in Hive Entrance. So I would assume Leaf's heading for FTA right now, possibly going for his Sank Entrance. He could be using Sank Entrance to route in a... Well, route yourself in for Hive Entrance. And yes, Sasquatch could have done a Cursed Lake to get Amber to make it easier, but we've already seen Sasquatch pull off the out of bounds, and going to a Cursed Lake takes time. But with how long it's taking Sasquatch to get this out of bounds, in the end it may have been a time save.
And it appears that Leaf is electing not to do Sank Entrance. And there goes Cannonball.
It was fun while we had it. Oh, what happened with Sasquatch? What was it? Just that they got stuck out of balance or took too bad of a fall? As I did not see it.
I did not see what happened. I only saw the quit.
Oh, according to chat, Sasquatch did a screw attack out of bounds and got stuck in a forever fall.
Ooh.
Oh, and their last save was Dark Aegon, but how far? Okay, well, on the bright side, they still have most of their equipment.
So the only
7.
thing they lost was that last Torvis key.
That's a very lucky save by Sasquatch. Pun totally intended. I'll be here all night. You know, I'm wondering because of that reset Sasquatch had to take, will they go and do a cursed lake this time so they don't have to try the out of bounds again?
I mean, I would say that that would be a good idea because you're going to be really close to it if you go out the Aegon sector door. Yeah, it would be a little slower to get to FTA. But I think it would be worth it just so you can get rid of that door.
Yeah, but on the flip side, if Sasquatch is believing that he's behind, then he might want to be looking for any possible time save he can get.
I mean, that is true. He did just lose Cannonball, so that means he's going to have to do the entire fight. So besides going through a cannon, the other way to lose Cannonball is to reload, as Cannonball is not retained upon reloading a save. And it appears that Sash is electing to go get that Amber.
Yeah, you might as well play it safe. That Leaf is also making up some ground, heading into Battlegrounds in cash for another STK. That brings their total up to 6, while Sasquatch is up to 7.
Oh, just short.
Welcome to Fun with Screw Attack.
And 2 hours, essentially 2 hours, 4 minutes into this run, we have picked up Amber Translator. So Sand Cache is finally open to them. Not that anyone's going to get it.
Yeah, at this point, it's probably never going to be seen.
It would be hilarious if Sand Cache was Cobalt.
It would not. I mean, it'd be hilarious for us because we're not the ones playing it, but for the runners, it'd be terrible knowing that your Cobalt was locked just behind an Amber Translator this entire time.
I've noticed that this most recent update of Randavania likes to delay where it puts Amber. Leaf is going to get that hive entrance key right now.
It makes the most sense. It is one of the most out-of-the-way checks Leaf has left to do. And just for good measure, Sasquatch firing a super at that Amber Translator gate. Wanted to make sure it will stay down and not come back. So while Leaf does Hive Entrance, that'll bring it up to 8, with the last key being on Chica. The downside...
And then Sash is missing one SDK besides Chica, but I cannot remember which one it is.
Hold on, I got a list here. Did Sass ever do Portal Chamber?
I don't think they did. I think that's it.
Yeah, I want to say Portal Chamber's the one that was as being the weird one. It could work out for Sasquatch. Granted, with going to Portal Chamber light and dark, that sets right up for Torvis for Chica play. Oh, we time to take one of the portals. Oh, nope, we're just going to fall right off the bridge. All right, that's key number 8 for Leaf. Down to just the Chica fight. And thankfully, Leaf does have information on the Chica keys.
Yes,
there is
but
one.
They still have to find that last one.
That's fair, but on the positive, there's not much light Torvis left for Leaf to explore. So how about we see the wonderful Chica in all its amazing glory as a boss.
This is actually my favorite boss fight in this game. Ooh, that hurts on Leaf's side.
What happened?
They got swiped by a warrior ing and knocked all the way down to the bottom of the room.
Ouch. All right. So, Chica. Not much that we can really do to speed up these fights.
Okay, so this fight, the first thing you want to do is you want to scan this boss. This is one of 2 enemies in the game that you need to scan in order for their weak point to be active. So the larva is actually weak to the dark beam, but during this first part of the fight, you're not really going to be using it, and instead you're going to be relying on the light beam. So as the larva swims by, as it briefly as it briefly surfaces from the water, you're going to fire off a shotgun spread of light beam and hope to hit it. When it does its little free willy jump, you can either follow that up with a charged light beam shot, or if your timing is really good, you can land a super missile on its weak point. When it sits on top of the platform, that's going to be your time to use Dark Beam. Oh, that was a very nice Dark Beam shot. So the main reason why we rely on Light Beam here as opposed to Dark Beam, which is the weakness, is because of Dark Beam's really slow firing speed. But once it's just standing here, it's basically wide open to the Dark Beam. You can even throw in a couple missiles if you're really good with the timing. The key to this battle is paying attention to your ammo consumption. Because if you run out of ammo, it's not going to be a fun time. Another option at this phase is you can also use Annihilator Beam. Annihilator Beam's really high rate of fire actually has it doing comparable, if not more, DPS. But without unlimited ammo, that eats up your resources really quickly. Okay, now we enter the adult phase. So like the larva, the light adult is weak to Dark Beam, but its movements are very quick and twitchy, so it's really hard to hit it with it. So your best options for this part of the fight are to use a beam that has a natural homing capability, so charged light shots or uncharged Annihilator. But once again, ammo consumption is key because the dark adult is weak to light beam, and you want to make sure you have enough light beam to be able to do damage to it.
Well, on the bright side with Seekers, it makes this fight so much easier. Oh, but we are out of ammunition, so we have to use charged beam to get one shot out. That's gonna sting for the third phase with Dark Chica Adult.
Well, you can recharge your ammo in the Dark Adult because it spawns the little mini-me's. You can farm them for ammo. In the light adult, there is no way to get back ammo, so if you run out here, it is really painful.
Oh, speaking of painful, looks like Leaf's just found that last Chica key. And these runners are neck and neck, just minutes apart from each other.
So you don't need Seekers for this part, or even missiles. Those little bits on its wing can actually be destroyed by Charge Beam, and it's terrible.
Yeah, yes it is. Coming from... I've done that before. It is terrible. It is time-consuming. You don't want to do it. Alright, there's our ammunition resupply method. Alright, Leaf has just acquired the third key to the Dark Torvus Temple. They are en route to defeat Chica. Meanwhile, Sasquatch is still fighting Chica Adult. Due to the lack of cannonball, we could not instantly defeat this fight. And we are out of ammunition once again.
Ooh, this time it looks like a light beam.
Yep. 0 light beam.
I imagine Leaf's first stop is actually going to be for that cannonball, since they know where it is.
It would make the most sense. Is it far away? No. Is it along the path? Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's right there by Forgotten Bridge's portal. And if Leaf goes for it, it'll save a good amount of time compared to Sasquatch. I mean, Sasquatch will still be in the lead, granted, but depending on how clean Leaf's Chica larva fight is, it could catch up a significant amount of time. And then this will be truly a battle to the end when it comes to final bosses. Alright, Sasquatch on the final phase of Chica Adult. Just one more. Oh, but Sasquatch has no light ammo.
Yeah, so he has to wait for the little chikelings. And there they are. Okay, that should be more than enough light ammo to finish this off.
Oh, absolutely. You only need around 3 to... about... what, 5 charge beam shots?
And that is one dead imago.
What did you just call it?
Imago. That is the term for the adult form of an insect that evolves from a larva.
Well, alrighty then.
It has its own word because it's specifically a different development from, say, something that has a nymph form. So, an imago form actually grows inside of the body of the larva, whereas the nymph is really just a shedding of an exoskeleton for a bigger one.
Little bit of a development here. Leaf is deciding to forego that cannonball.
I think ultimately that... you know what? Leaf has unlimited ammo. That's not that big a deal. They don't have to be careful about their ammo consumption. They can just unload with Annihilator Beam.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, but with Cannonball instantly destroying Adult Phase, it's still a time save.
I think it would be a time save to get the Cannonball, but they might be feeling that they can do this faster with the unlimited ammo than having to route that in.
Well, let's see how Leaf does, as it's time to start the Chica fight once again. Hey, you know what, just for the heck of it, how about we get some more Chica boss music going on?
Yeah, and we should be seeing Leaf employing pretty much the same strategy that we saw Satch do. They just have a lot more wiggle room with that unlimited ammo.
All right, here comes Pickup, popping its wonderful person up.
Yeah, and you can
Annihilator.
you can see the DPS from the Annihilator spam.
Nice one cycle on that larva.
Yeah, with that double damage.
Oh wait, Leaf actually kept Cannonball from earlier. Okay. I didn't notice that Leaf kept it. Did he? Maybe?
Doesn't look
possibly.
Like, oh,
yep,
there it is.
Well,
yeah,
I'll be darned.
I didn't see them pick it up, but hey, that was a massive amount of time save.
All right, well, it's that was a pretty fast Chica fight. But now here comes the real challenge. We like to say here on Speed Gaming that it's never over until the final bosses are defeated. We have a true race going on. Both runners have all 9 STKs. This race is going to come down to who can defeat Dark Samus first. And speaking of time, looks like Sasquatch is trying to go out of bounds here in Portal Chamber Light to save time from going back into Dark Torvus to take a save station. Meanwhile, on Leaf's side, there's a save station right here in the Dark Torvus map station. So, Leaf is going to hit Temple Grounds first. Okay, so right now, Leaf has a slight advantage. But it's slight, you know, Sasquatch can still pull ahead depending on how fast he gets this out of bounds. Yeah, personally, I would have probably done Portal Chamber before Chica. That way you could have taken the nearby save station as an immediate warp.
Well, I think they intend to leave through the front door and not warp at all.
Oh, you know, that's fair. Yeah, because we got Torvus Lagoon here, which leads right near Gateway. So if Sasquatch can pull us off in a timely manner, then...
That is a faster route than save warping.
Yeah, but it all depends on how fast Sasquatch can move.
Unfortunately, that cutscene does not reposition you.
Oh, but Leaf... Well, why did Leaf come here to this elevator? Oh, to get landing site, probably. Get a quick save station and ammo refill.
Oh, for the power bombs. They have unlimited beam and missiles, but not unlimited power bombs. It still probably would have been faster to just go straight for the Torvus sector, because the ink pods in Sky Temple have a very high chance to drop power bombs if you are not full.
Oh, Sasquatch has just clipped back in bounds in Torvus Lagoon. And hitting the door to make sure the room is loaded properly. Smart move.
Yeah, walking back and touching that door forces the game. Essentially, it tells the game which room they're actually in. Because remember, to do the ceiling warp in, they needed to be in the wrong room.
Leaf, that is a super missile door, not a seeker door. But nice attempt. Alright, so Leaf's just entered meeting ground. Sasquatch going through the elevator, taking the Hall of Eyes path.
Obliterating enemies with their mere presence.
Hey, do you see how shiny that light suit is? I mean, that's pretty powerful. And Leaf is the first one to enter the Sky Temple grounds. But Sasquatch is just seconds behind.
Yeah, this will very much come down to execution.
Yeah, but Leaf also has double damage at their disposal.
That is a very good tool to have. That is the difference between Emperor Ing 1 taking 4 super missiles and 2.
Yeah, but Leaf also has to be careful when it comes to Dark Samus 3 and 4 to not get too much damage output done at once. Okay, so both runners are entering Gateway at practically the same time. Look at this.
Yeah, this is a high five.
It's impossible to tell who's in the lead right now. Yeah, it's just not possible to determine.
Leaf has done an amazing job of pulling this back from missing those supers early on.
Absolutely, it was a huge comeback.
Now, always take a save here, because you never know what's going to happen.
No, I don't know. Sasquatch is deciding to risk it and not get the save.
It may seem like a time save, but it only takes Emperor Ing jumping into the ceiling once for you to just...
Yeah. I'm still amazed that... Okay, people, come on. Screw attack against the wall, please.
I remember this room being harder than the boss fight when I was a kid.
Alright, Sasquatch is the first one to enter Emperor Ring.
So for Emperor Ing, the first part of this fight, you're just going to hit the tentacles with a light beam shot to make them retract, which will reveal his eye, which is the weak point. You want to either get super missiles or uncharged annihilator shots into the little gap between the two energy shields. And this is where Leaf has an advantage because of the double damage. So you can see that Annihilator Beam is just whittling away the health.
Okay, so Leaf has the advantage already on phase 2. Emperor
and with Cannonball for Leaf, this phase of Emperor Ing is trivial.
Oh yeah, no damage, we're not going to get knocked off, it's a free one.
The biggest challenge of this phase is actually those little inglets, because they will relentlessly knock you off into the poison cloud underneath.
Oh, Sasquatch is getting a bad cycle here on Emperor Ring 1.
Ooh.
Probably going to be a 3 cycle. Yeah, no, that's a 3 cycle Emperor Ring 1. That's bad for Sasquatch. That's given Leaf plenty of time.
And Leaf has now entered the third phase of Emperor Ing. So,
Right.
With this, you'll see Leaf attempting to screw attack underneath the boss. So it's believed that at some point during development, there was going to be an additional phase to this boss battle where Emperor Ing would have extra armor around its legs, and you would need to screw attack into them to destroy it. Now, for whatever reason, they cut that part of the battle, but left the hitbox for that armor in the fight. And that hitbox ties directly into Emperor Ing's health pool. So the quickest way to defeat this boss is actually to screw attack just underneath it. Now, you want to be careful not to be too high, because it's easy to somersault over that weak point.
Yeah, that, and as you were mentioning earlier, Rico, Emperor Ring 3 does have a slight chance to jump out of bounds.
It's really rare, but we have seen it happen in this tournament.
I'm going to be honest, it was hilarious to watch, but it was so sad for the runners.
Ooh, looks like Joe just a little high on that one. So there is one caveat to this, that if you kill Emperor Ing while it is doing its laser attack, that leads to a crash.
Now, speaking of which, Sasquatch has just entered Emperor Ring 3. Who can get the final hit off first?
And it looks like Leaf has taken out Emperor Ing 3, with Sash probably not too far behind. Now, the good thing is that the game gives you a checkpoint after Emperor Ing. So if you die, you start from this escape instead of your last save.
No, but Sasquatch is way too close to Emperor Ring, though.
Yeah, I find it a lot easier to get the screw off.
Oh, hold on!
Ooh.
There he goes. Major damage from that last screw attack. Now he's on the escape.
Ooh. He is only seconds behind. So we are now entering Dark Samus on Leaf's side.
Okay.
So Dark Samus is a two-phase fight normally, but with a bit of exploitation, we can sort of skip that. So what Leaf has done is they have fired just enough damage to bring her to the brink of transitioning to Dark Samus 4. So now once she finishes this big laser attack, Leaf will either attempt to screw attack or super missile into her.
Okay. Well, at least trying to get the stun lock going.
Oh, but he did not do the super missile or screw, so she tanked that missile and immediately transitioned. So now they have to do the slow DS4 part, whereas Sash is about to attempt the same thing. And did they land the screw? I don't think they did.
No, it didn't look like it. And Dark Samus is still nowhere to be found.
Okay. He's going to have another chance after this laser again.
If Sasquatch can get this stun lock down, this could very well turn the tides in his favor.
On Leaf's side, it's actually easier in Dark Samus 4 to not lock onto her and just manually aim over her shoulder. That way you don't have to worry about missing one of those phazon pellets and getting stun locked from it.
Alright, looks like Sasquatch missed the screw attack once again, but he does get a third opportunity to land it. There's still not enough damage on DS3 to transition into the fourth step. Now, can Sasquatch get it the third time?
I don't think they did.
No, it didn't look like it. But they can see Dark Samus 4.
He
they got the super missile off, though. Oh, no, that's Leaf's fight, then. That was painful.
So close. And it looks like one more phazon shot on Leaf's side should seal this.
Oh, man. It came down to a super missile and a center. 2 screw attacks did not hit, and that gave Leaf plenty of time to get this fight in their favor.
The super missile does work, but it's more consistent with double damage, which Sash unfortunately does not have.
Time.
And that is GG for Leaf.
Final confirmed time of a 2:34.27. And that is a personal best for Leaf, by the way, in the tournament. So congratulations to Leaf on their victory here today. Sasquatch not too far behind. Double damage, man. Double damage turned this. A clean Emperor Ring 1. Did struggle on Emperor Ring 3 just a little. But with that double damage for the final fight here in Dark Samus, that was close. That was really close. And Sasquatch has like one hit left, and that'll be it. Here comes his final hit. That's time for Sasquatch.
And it looks like the difference in time is 1 minute and 22 seconds.
This was one of the closest races of the tournament so far. But with that being said, we're going to get the bot to send out some invites. We're going to try to get both teams in here, both the runners and their mentors, for some post-game interviews. So on that, if anyone in chat has any questions they'd like to ask either of the runners or the mentors today, please, by all means, post them below. And with that, we welcome Leaf into the booth. Welcome and congratulations on your first place victory.
Thank you, Marion.
Do you want to take a guess at how close you and Sasquatch were?
Well, I mean, we were 1 minute and 20 seconds apart.
Yeah, there you go.
I've already seen the race room. Hello,
Hey,
Sasquatch.
Welcome, Sash.
You know,
Hello.
you don't got to do me like that, Leaf. Welcome, Sasquatch. Congratulations. I mean, it was down to the wire to the very end.
Yeah, it was really close.
Yeah. You both entered Sky Temple grounds at the same time. It was milliseconds apart.
Nice.
Did one of us just have a better EI3?
I want to say it was actually Jaika that kind of decided this.
I'd agree.
Sash
did?
lost Cannonball before getting into the Mosquito.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
And Leaf, you having a one-cycle Chica larva and almost an immediate cannonball against Chica adult, you just saved so much time. So
My
when it
Chica
came-
was a long fight.
It was not pleasant, to say the least. And then coming down to final bosses, Leaf, you had a clean Emperor Ring 1. You both had a clean Emperor Ring 2. Sasquatch, you had the better Emperor Ring 3. So you both entered Dark Samus 3 relatively at around the same time, a couple of seconds apart from each other. But
And it
Sasquatch...
sounds like we both got immediately centered.
Well, I mean, Sasquatch, you had, 3 attempts to get some damage off before the fourth transition?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get those screw attacks.
I can't either, so...
Yeah, if you can actually use missiles and dark beam to stun lock.
Cobalt on Alpha
going-
Blog, I'm sorry.
Wait, is that really where Cobalt was?
Yeah, Alpha Blog had Cobalt, I'm sorry.
I mean, there were no hints on this. This was halfway to a language barrier seed. We just got the hints we needed,
Yeah.
and that's about it. I kind of wish I picked up Amber somewhere in there just to make the trip to Sky Temple easier.
Yeah, I ended up picking up Amber because I knew where it was.
I do want to talk on Amber for just a second. Sasquatch, you know where we're heading with this.
Oh yeah.
You didn't go through Torvis through the Aegon elevator. No, you didn't go for that. You decided to out of bounds Hall of Eyes.
Which I have never done until today.
Well,
And it probably showed.
Props to being willing to try something new in a mentor tourney race. So
Yeah,
that's what we're here for, is learning, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We did get a little worried on your first attempt, though, because you fell all the way down to Hall of Eyes end. But it was a solid climb back up, and you made it without a hassle. And then came the second attempt.
Uh-huh.
Any ideas or suggestions on what happened on the second?
I panicked and started mashing the jump button, which led to a screw attack.
Screw attack out of bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw attacking out of bounds is not a pleasant time unless you have a perfect understanding of where you can safely land. It's
Yeah.
It's a risk.
Yeah, Cestrion was, kept trying to drill, like, once you get to the tunnel, just don't press anything. But for some reason, I pressed jump, and then I started panicking and mashing the jump button more. And then at that point, just sucked it up and went and got Amber.
Naii and I were worried when we got that suit hint. Because we did Torvus before getting supers.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually lost a lot of time on that, but you did a fantastic job of pulling it back.
We Hall of Honor did us a very isolated check, and we had just got everything was screaming at us to go to Torvus. We get boost ball. We know seekers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask why we didn't. Do not ask why we didn't do sand processing immediately after getting boost ball.
Well, I'd like to ask that.
That was just I didn't think of it, and Torvus was again on the forefront of our minds when we went there. But so yeah, please don't ask why we didn't take the easy check there. But that's why we did. That's why we did. Got the Seekers, did Battleground, and then didn't do anything else in Dark Labs on that first trip. Is we wanted to go to Torvus, because Emerald hints were in play, or at least a couple of them.
I mean, it makes sense. Emerald hints have been consistently some of the best hints out there lately.
And in this seed, they were basically the only hints.
In this seed, they were the only.
I mean, you had your violet hints, but I mean, they weren't really useful.
The winning hints in this one, of course, being the Aegon and Torvus key hints, telling us that yes, we need to go back to FTA.
Let's see what's on this handy dandy notepad today. So, both of your early games were practically y'all were copying each other, following the same routes, the same path, the same tricks. It was you watch it back, it's like you're watching one stream in total. Your major route change early, about 40 minutes in. Leaf, you decided to go for Aegon Labs through Central Mining. Sasquatch, you went for Spire's Treasure immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Spire's Treasure didn't have anything terrible on it, but doing backwards labs, it was still right till the very end. It was close.
Which means it was a good race.
Yeah, I would say if Leaf, if you did not get Chick as fast as you did, it would have been a lot longer of a time loss. Oh, let's see. What else is on here?
Yeah,
On
we
my
didn't
entire
even
way-
see you pick up the cannonball, so we were thinking that you were going into that fight without it.
Oh, yeah.
No, we picked up Cannonball after. So we picked up Cannonball on the way to get Light Suit, and then I just played carefully to not lose it.
Whatever you did, it paid off tremendously.
So
I guess
and Naii was a fantastically patient mentor too. So big shout outs to Naii, and big shout outs to Cestrion for staying up super late tonight.
Yes, very much so.
Man starts mentoring a race at 2:15 in the morning European time.
Oh, geez. That's a long day.
Honestly, the biggest shout out goes to Cestrion for this one.
You know what? I guess a common question to ask. How do you feel about your STKs today?
I mean, let's see. Though, I mean, Hive Entrance is bad. It gave us the chicken intel early, so we knew about it and were prepared for it. We played, like I said, we played around with the cannonball knowing that Chica was on the table. But other than that, the SDKs were fairly tame.
Yeah, not too bad. I was feeling pretty good. I mean, early game 4 STKs before going into hints.
And then the intel tells us that yes, you need a light suit. Yes, you hard need the dark visor because Battleground in cache and Hive entrance. But other than that, sand processing and Lear.
Mm-hmm.
And then double damage and unlimited beam ammo right on the path on my way through Sanctuary. So
never saw those. I got the missiles.
Double damage was watch station access.
Okay.
And then unlimited beam ammo was on main research, which we picked up on our way to Lower Torvis. We jumped the statue because we didn't have supers on our first trip. So after doing Torvis Temple, we left needing to do Torvis Energy Controller later. So we did we did reverse Lower Torvis for our hints. So
gotcha.
Yeah, those would have helped you. Those definitely helped me on this one. They would have helped you.
Yeah.
Do you two have any further questions?
I was just going over the notes here, trying to think of what happened, but no, it was a fairly tame seed altogether, with everything considered. I mean, you had screw attack started. You had your missile launcher and A-gun, which was easily accessible. Your bombs on Dark Missile Trooper, which, hey, look, DMT's finally required.
That was a painfully linear seed for the opener.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Space Jump on Hive Chamber B. I mean, it was just so easy for. I don't want to use easy, but
Linear.
Yeah, that's a good word. Linear for your early game.
Almost painfully linear because you have to do one check here to do one check there to get your progression. Because you have to get your missile launcher so you can get your bomb guardian kill, so you can go get your bombs, so you can go get your space jump.
Yeah, it was fun, to say the least.
Yeah, very, very much pointed you in one direction.
And then it fanned out once you got a space jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because once y'all entered Aegon around your 35-40 minute mark, then you really started to have the choice. Do you push Torvis heavily, or do you try to go for Sanctuary due to having Spider Ball?
We went with the hints play, so...
Yeah, thankfully, Torvis was the right play. But I don't have anything else on this notepad here. Rico, you have anything on your side?
No, you pretty much covered everything.
Okay, well, I guess we do have one final question then, since we are in a tournament setting. Leaf, Sasquatch, being mentors in the Echoes tournament here today, we'd really like to get your feedback on how your experience has been so far with the tournament setting itself, and how your experience has been with the mentors you've come across lately in the last few weeks.
I'll let Sasquatch go first.
It's been really good for me, actually. I came into this having a little bit of like multi-world and just kind of playing around with some tricks experience. And then jumping in with Baja and really pushing the trick execution. Like my out of bounds went from being almost nothing, I would say, to I feel fairly comfortable now. Now it's from here, it's working on, sussing out the logic, which is a big part of it. It's a bit tough to ascertain, what the seed wants you to do at times, and then movement, I think, from there.
If you're looking at movement as something to work on, try and get a session. If you can get a session in even without a race with someone like Raishai or Cat Human, they're fantastic at movement. Movement and
Yeah,
strats.
I'll have to look into that.
Cat, I don't know what Cat Human does, but he just managed to break everything wide open.
But yeah, as for me, again, similar background, multi-world background, following Baja and Leno for years. The one difference here being I just don't have an interest in Out of Bounds. I straight up told Naii, I really don't have an interest in learning Out of Bounds. It's not. It kind of goes against how I prefer to play Randomizer.
That's fair.
Because for me, the Randomizer is the puzzle aspect more than the trick and execution. The trick and execution is fun, but and I like a lot of the inbounds tricks. Like scan dashes are fun. For just as an example, but yeah, and but getting taken from I can play this in a multi-world to hey, I can actually play against people with my skill level and compete, and suss out the logic. It's why I've enjoyed working with mentors like Leno and Baja and Naii here. Still trying to figure out who I want to go for next week. I've been recommended Cestrion, so. But it's been a great experience, so. Baja's run a really good show with the other admins, so. I use Baja a lot because he kind of was. I know Baja's kind of one who started it because he came over from my main community. He brought the idea over from my Link to the Past main community, so.
Nice. Yeah, Cestrion is very knowledgeable in terms of, game knowledge and how to route. That's one thing, even though I've only done one race with him, I definitely got that his logic sense is very good.
Yeah, and this was my first time ever interacting with Naii, so. And he was able to teach me things on the fly just by telling me things. Like, you saw me actively learning the standables for bioenergy production today, live in race.
Oh, that was something I did want to ask you about. Why you were attempting all the standables instead of just scanning the platforms?
Because Naii brought them up as an option, and we decided to learn them there. Because if you do it the first time, it's faster than scanning the platforms.
That's fair enough.
Yeah,
So,
there's no time like the present to learn something new.
Exactly.
Yeah, that and Sasquatch, you pulled off a great storage C check, by the way.
Thank you. I feel good about that. It's one of those. Yeah, it takes a couple of minutes, but going through there, especially being able to full clear everything but that one check, just having that knowledge, I feel like is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah, storage C. Any of the outlier checks, the storage C, in cache 2, in cache 4 sometimes, Hive entrance especially, but that's a different point. If you can get the information off of them and you don't have to come back, you've already put yourself slightly ahead. As I think with that goes, knowledge is key with how interconnected everything can be. And once you have just a handful of equipment, a lot is opened, and it can be difficult to pinpoint where exactly your focus should be. But other than that, I'm glad you two have been having a great experience so far, and the positive feedback's wonderful. And many props to the mentors out there for putting their time and effort into teaching so many things at once on a short time frame.
Yes, I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have anything further. So, but what are you saying, Leaf? I'm sorry.
Yeah, today was, I think, the first time I've seen any trouble from. I think this is the first time we've seen any major trouble getting a mentor for a race. So, and that's just people are busy. It's a holiday weekend in the U.S. So again, big shout outs to Cestrion for stepping in at such a late hour.
Yes.
Yep. But I don't have anything further. Rico, any final words from you, my friend?
Not really. Just be sure to follow the runners. They both did a fantastic job, and follow the mentors as well.
Yeah, thanks for the restream.
Well,
yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks for commentating. Commentating definitely makes the restreams, a good experience overall.
I mean, Marion's a wealth of knowledge for commentary. So
Well,
On
I'm
that
more
note,
on the logic side. Rico knows a lot more on the technical, so I'm happy to have someone such as Rico here to, hey, I learned something new as well, so.
On that note, I would like to apologize in advance to Leaf, because your pronouns were not on the screen and no one pointed out that we were getting them wrong for 2 hours. So,
thank you for
I am
apology.
sorry.
Thanks for being upfront and apologizing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So,
if they were not on a screen though, and they were not on screen, and sometimes it's hard to remember to check the race room, especially in the middle of commentary. But it's so long as you realize it and apologize for it, I don't think there's a problem here. Do you?
Nope. I just think it's be the safe place to be open. Which is a great part about our community as well. It's being so accepting of everyone. Yeah, it really helps to make the experience that much better. And with that, I think we're going to start wrapping up our program here today. So with this being said, does anyone have any final words they'd like to get off?
Just GG's once again. It was a good race.
Good luck next week.
Thanks, you as well.
So, and again, once again, thank you for the commentary. Thank you for the restream.
Yep, it's always a pleasure. All right, with that being said, thank you everyone for joining us here tonight at SpeedGaming. It's been a pleasure hosting these events for you lately, and we look forward to continuing hosting these events and even more in the future. But as far as the Echoes tournament goes, this is the last race for this week. We currently have no races scheduled for next week, but they are currently in the planning and scheduling stage. So we will get you the information as soon as possible, but right now everything is still in planning for next week. Other than that, if you'd like to keep up to date with either Randomania, the Metroid Prime community, or the Echoes tournament itself, information has been posted below on the Discord bot. Or not the Discord, the SpeedGaming bot. Where are we again? I forget. If you like any of the runners that you saw or the mentors, be sure to follow them. Keep up to date with their restreams. Or you could follow Rico or myself. Rico, I don't know how often you stream, but your link's there if you'd like.
Virtually never.
Yeah, same here. But with that being said, once again, we have nothing planned currently, but once we do, we'll get that information out as soon as possible. So until that time, remember to stay safe, have a wonderful rest of the day, have a great week starting tomorrow, and we'll see you all next mission.
See you next mission.
Bye.